Giants Nation, Washington football team lovers, NFC East lovers, what's good? I go by the name of Awthentik. We back in the building for another episode of Awthentik and The Beard. Entering week 4, man, we got a lot of tragedy happening in this NFC East division, especially with our two favorite teams, man, at the bottom of the division right now. Looking like we need to get a must-win here for the rest of the season, and we got a tough stretch coming up of football games here for both these teams. Let's get to it, man. We had our Tuesday show, man. Y'all know we chopped it up a lot about week 3, about the failures of the red zone offense between the Giants and how we couldn't put up points against the Atlanta Falcons. Washington football team struggled heavily against them Buffalo Bills and got their socks blown off in that game. That was a real interesting one. Taylor Heineke, we finally got a chance to see him on the road in his first start, and he struggled in that game heavily as well. Cowboys are looking to be on pace, man, and the Eagles kind of fell back down to earth, man, looking like they might be back down at the bottom of the division here soon, too, with the trenches of their schedule coming up as well. But without further ado, man, let me bring in the homie one time. Y'all know what it is, man. The right side or the strong side to my left side. What's up, The Beard? How you living, man? How your day been?
Man, it's been all right, man. You know, like I'm kind of like, I'm looking at this week like it's week 1 in a way. You know,
well,
like
why is that?
It's because I'm just like, you know, okay, we just need to recharge, redo everything, and kind of just, you know, start a fresh new path to the title of the NFC East Championship for the Washington football team, for my fantasy teams, you know, all the above. But you said we got our socks knocked off. It's a good thing I wear my socks all the time, you know.
Facts.
So I don't have to worry about getting my socks knocked off. But it's
blown off.
Blown off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's going to be an interesting week of football. I think 4 weeks into a season is kind of when you can, I don't know if I'm right, but this is how I feel. I feel like 4 weeks kind of gives you an idea of identity for most of the teams in the National Football League. Would you agree or disagree with that sort of 4-week assessment?
For sure. 2 games to give you like at least a little bit of gauge of where the offense and the defense going to stand, if you got any firepower and whatnot. And 4 weeks is kind of like, okay, are we going to be a bad team or are we going to be a team that's going to make a run?
So that to me, and it's interesting because we're a 17-game season, so I guess like we're not technically a quarter of the season through at 4 games, but we are a quarter of the way, which sounds crazy when you say it like that because it feels like we just started the other day. You know what I'm saying? So we got some interesting matchups here. You know, like this is definitely like must-win territory for most of us in the division. You know, and Dallas probably has the toughest matchup, and you're not going to hear that a lot because Dallas has the easiest schedule of everybody in the NFC East. But I think, you know, on paper, they have the toughest matchup of everybody in the division this week. And then on Thursday Night Football, I mean, a lot of people talking like, oh, Bengals, Jaguars, you know what I'm saying? But for me, I'm kind of interested in watching this game because I haven't been able to see a whole game of Trevor Lawrence yet since he's been in the league. You know, you don't really see a lot of Jaguars on the red zone. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm kind of curious to watch an entire game of Trevor Lawrence. And I mean, you got the 2 number 1 picks in the last 2 seasons facing off against each other. So I think this game is going to be a lot more exciting than people are giving it credit for. So, you know, like I'm excited for tonight's game. And then, you know, we're rolling in Saturday. Notre Dame got a big game against Cincinnati. So shout out my Notre Dame Irish. And then Sunday, we right back at it. Everybody's playing at 1 o'clock on Sunday, too, in the NFC East. So that's going to be kind of interesting as well. So let me say some shout-outs to the people in the chat before we start getting into these games.
Facts.
Shout-out to Big Pat. Pat's Sports Talk.
Hey, big shout-out to Big Pat one time. He just had Bobby Skinner on his channel. As I was cutting my hair, actually, I was listening to them, man, and they were bringing up some fantastic points, man. Shout out to Big Pat. Also, Adam was on that stream as well, too, dropping a bunch of gems, but just really trying to figure out where the problems are, you know, starting for the New York Giants. And, you know, I don't know if you know about this new feature that Twitter has right now where it's kind of like they implemented Clubhouse. Yeah, with the spaces. And the New York Giants had a major space yesterday. Shout out to the homie Will. He's 27 spelled out on Twitter. And he's the one who organized that, man. And there was like beat writers in there. Carl Banks was in there. It was over 700 people in that space that they were all chopping it up. I know the Pest was in there. A bunch of other people were in there.
I saw a tweet about Pest. I guess Pest, you know, He was his animated self in the space. So
oh yeah,
I wish
how
I could go
do.
back and hear it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's the one interesting about the space.
Yeah.
Thing about the spaces is you don't get no replay of them. But I like that it puts demand on people coming to the. It's almost like a live that goes away, which is kind of cool too. And I actually tweeted out today, man. I'm a big fan of the Carl Banks line that they put out last season for the New York Giants. There was a clothing line they put out, a bunch of like rugby style, polo style shirts and whatnot. And I was like, yo, I need one of these rugby style shirts to go with the dunks that Nike had just sent me, those 1-to-1 dunks. Right before the show, I go to plug the show real quick. I check my DM, and Carl Banks is in my DM saying, yo, you send your size over. You send it to my assistant. We got you. We going to hold you down. So, man, big shout out to Carl Banks, who's super tapped in, man, to the New York Giants community, man. It's a blessing to have a not only a fantastic player from the Giants organization, but a guy who's also like an analyst and really knows his stuff when it comes to the New York Giants and knows his stuff when it just comes to football in general. So salute to him. I'm going to be sending out that information as soon as we get off air, man. And hopefully I can get that polo to go with them dunks. And y'all, I might actually put them on my feet because they've been in the box since I got them.
There you go.
Yeah,
and
man.
I heard Eli Manning got his own show on the Giants
Yeah,
YouTube
I checked it out today,
now.
man. It's they not going for the information kind of vibe. They going like kind of like, it kind of gives me like Jack Tripper, Three's Company vibes. Like they're going for like a humor meets kind of, his life so far, at least on the first episode from what I saw. It was a pretty short, episode as well, too. I think it was only like good 30 minutes or something like that. But shout out to Eli Manning. Eli, he's super candid, man. He's a funny dude.
He's killing the retirement game right now. Shout out to Bark Nasty 21. You're back.
He's back, and when I went to go check if he was blocked, he wasn't even blocked, which is crazy. But I did notice that a couple of other Giants fans, especially day ones for us, were blocked. I saw Sabrina was blocked. I don't know why she was blocked. And I saw that Punkham was blocked as well, too. So my mods, y'all got to clean it up, man. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the mods. It's my first time looking at that behind-the-scenes look, but y'all got to hold it down, man. I don't know what y'all doing blocking Sabrina. Somebody got to give me an explanation. And while we at it, let me just address this one with Simon, who missed a lot of stuff about Scotty. Scotty just got too busy, man, and he couldn't do the podcast anymore. That dates back to last season. So, we got to keep it funky here, man. It's just Awthentik and The Beard moving on. It's been like that now for about a good 30 episodes, it feels like, man. So salute to Scotty, man. Best of luck with the new jobs and everything he's got going on. We definitely still stay in touch. I ain't rapped to him in a couple weeks, though, but definitely got to reach out and holler at Scotty one time.
Sunday is in the building holding us down in the chat faux show. We appreciate that as
That's
always.
the goat right there. What's up, Sunday?
Joe Deals, our resident Chicago Bears fan. I know he's going through it right now. They are going at Matt Nagy's head. It is crazy over in Chicago.
I mean, they got to
now.
win. They got to win. and the Bears, man, that roster is not right. We know that roster is not right. So, I mean, you guys got to win. That defense looks pretty good, man. Hopefully they can win a couple games on the back of that defense. But the rookie was looking terrible in that debut.
Yeah. Afghanistan is in the building, baby.
What's up,
yeah.
boy?
Shout
What's
out.
Afghan?
Sebastian's in the building. Maria's in the building.
Hey,
Shout out
what's
to
up, Maria?
Lucas. Lucas checking in from Australia. We appreciate the international viewership. Marjorie always holding us down in the chat for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Lax 044 in the building.
Big Lax in the building. What's up,
stopping
fam?
by. Cernox Connection is in the building. Don't forget, check out Cernox. He's going to be live on the Whatnot app tomorrow doing all vintage sports clothing.
Yo, make sure I get a text. Make sure I get the text before that. I almost missed your live last night with the Warpath because I was just slipping. I was playing some Apex. I was like, my girl comes down. She's like, you're not going to, check out the Beard on the channel? I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be monitoring the microphone and making sure everything's good. So I pulled up a little bit late, but shout out to the homie on the Warpath because that was y'all two personalities were really good on that channel. Y'all were really funny, man.
Hey, I also got to give a big shout out to the homie Toothpick in the building from First String Podcast. I'm going to be joining him on his, doing the show with him soon. So shout out to Toothpick, First String Podcast. Make sure y'all check them out on YouTube and on Twitter. Toothpick74 is his Twitter handle. So definitely, shout outs to my man Toothpick. Appreciate you stopping by, brother.
Big shout out. Big shout out.
Yeah, so big shout out to everybody in the building. We're going to go ahead and get to rocking to these games. We appreciate everybody joining us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I don't got to say Periscope no more. YouTube, everything. You know what I'm saying? We all over the place. We appreciate all of the love. I'm going to get to this question real fast.
Yeah,
Chuba
let's do
Hubbard
that.
or James Robinson. Ooh, that's tough. I love Chuba Hubbard. I was big on him. I thought that was a huge move by the Carolina Panthers. And I think he's going to get the rock a lot in this Dallas game. We're going to touch on it a little bit. James Robinson tonight, he's finally getting action. That first game was kind of like, oh, it's tough. But I think Chuba Hubbard's going to be the guy. He's going to get a lot of love in that Dallas game. And I think they're going to have to, put up some points because that Dallas offense, that's a tough call, man.
Yeah.
You're going to have to flip a coin. But I think I would go with Chuba Hubbard.
I think I go James Robinson. So, yeah, definitely flip the coin on that. I mean, he's proven, I know this year has not been a fantastic year for him, but he has proven he can run the rock. Chuba Hubbard just coming in relief, it's going to be tough for him, I think. But we'll see. If he proves it, then you go next week with Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, there you go. Good point.
Yeah, for sure. That's how I try to do this year, man. I'm not just throwing anybody in the lineup that ain't no Laviska Sinauts before they don't do nothing yet. You know what I'm saying? I got to see you show and prove on the field first.
Laviska tonight, baby.
Yeah, he might do something. We'll see, man. I think the Jaguars got a shot in that game, but we're going to get to that one.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get to this first game, man.
Let's do it.
All right, man. Chiefs at Eagles. The Eagles are at home versus the Chiefs, looking to keep things close with the Cowboys in the NFC East. Chiefs are coming off 2 straight losses, so I can't picture them getting 3 straight losses, especially to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be crazy. I just can't see them handing them their 3rd loss of the season. Mahomes started the game last week versus the Chargers with 3 straight turnovers, and I think that was a big reason why they lost the game. You can't start off slow in any game in the NFL right now. Teams got to get the jump on other teams if you want to have a chance of winning this game. The Chargers held Tyreek Hill to only 5 receptions on the day. Javon Hargraves for the Eagles, man, he's got 4 sacks on the season and 6 quarterback hits. The Eagles couldn't stop the run versus the Cowboys last week, and this week they have a tall task in trying to stop the pass with Patrick Mahomes, man. This passing attack, we know what they can do. They kind of been a little underwhelming entering this season here the first 3 weeks, but I'm looking for the Chiefs to get back on pace here. I think the real question here is, and I'm going to ask you this, The Beard, too, as well, is can Jalen Hurts have a bounce-back game and keep this difficult matchup close with him being the only offensive power that the Eagles have seemingly only had in the last 2 weeks?
I mean, look, Jalen Hurts, we're both kind of, in Jalen Hurts' corner as far as, the type of love-hate that he gets from a lot of people who, are football fans. It's unfortunate because you're going to a bounce-back game against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have 2 losses, right? I can't. The Chiefs going to be real angry. They're going to be real angry. I think this game's going to get out of control fast. Now, if I was the Eagles, though, the Chiefs' run defense is pretty bad. The Chiefs' defense in general is pretty bad.
Pretty bad across the board, yeah.
And
far.
And the Eagles got away from that run game so early last week. And I know that, they were behind and they had to pass the ball. But look, you still got to, sprinkle in some run. That's how you got to do it. Like Miles Sanders only carried the ball, what was it, 2 times? Yeah,
2 times. The Philadelphia Eagles as a team had only rushed it 11 times the whole game.
And how many of those were Jalen Hurts? You know what I'm saying? So
it was like, three carries came from the running backs.
Yeah, so it's just you got to get the ball to Miles Sanders and get the ball to Miles Sanders early. And on the other end, too, like the Chiefs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, like after he fumbled that ball, right, I was on Twitter, and I was like, all these people giving CEH a hard time, you know what I'm saying? And I know that's how it is on Twitter in general, right? But yeah. I was like, he's going to have a bounce-back game, and he did. He came out and ran for over 100 yards. I think it was like over 6 yards a carry last week in their loss. But, like, I think you're going to see a lot of running, actually, from both of these teams in the beginning of the game to kind of, like, dictate the pace of the game and see how that goes. But I expect Kansas City, you know what I'm saying, they're just – it's too much firepower. And you mentioned Hargrave, you know what I'm saying? Hargrave, Javon Hargrave. He's having a killer season. Like you said, 4 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and he also had 6 quarterback hits so far. So if they want to have any, chance, they're going to need him to get after Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes has been under a lot of pressure this year, and the Chiefs spent a lot of time trying to, redo that offensive line in the offseason.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but you can see that it's kind of helped in the run game because Edwards-Helaire, has been running the ball fairly well. But it's just like, are the Eagles going to be able to contain all of the weapons? Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce.
Yep.
So it's just
Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there, and we're not going to see no Josh Gordon yet. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be probably on a practice squad, I would imagine, for at least 1-2 weeks before they call him up. But I think Jalen Hurts has a good game, and he hasn't necessarily been playing bad. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
he's been playing pretty good ball. I mean, even though a lot of his stats against the Cowboys came in garbage time, late, he started off the game pretty terrible against the Cowboys, but they were not generating any offense from anywhere else, And I was commending Sirianni for his game plans the first couple of weeks, simplifying things for Jalen Hurts. This is going to be the tallest task they got right here because, look, for me, the way to attack the Chiefs' defense is pass the ball. You saw Justin Herbert had 4 touchdowns last week against that defense. That defense has been struggling for the first 3 weeks, right? But with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles, to me, they're most effective when they're running the ball out of RPO, quarterback vibe running, Miles Sanders doing his thing and whoever's back up over there, doing their thing as well too. But I don't think that's going to be effective against this Chiefs defense. You want to be able to run the ball so that you can keep Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, control the clock. But the Eagles don't seem like the kind of team that's going to be able to generate a bunch of first downs just running the ball. So you're going to have to throw the ball to win this game. I think it's a very puzzling matchup for a coach. Like, I'm not a coach, but I don't know how you go into this game and try to game plan against the Kansas City Chiefs and all those weapons, even offensively as well for the Eagles. Like, what can they do?
I mean, to me, you have to run the ball. I mean, I feel like it sounds so like cliche, right? And basic, but it's like if you can run the ball efficiently against the Chiefs team and you keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, you have a chance. And maybe what that does is kind of opens things up for Jalen Hurts. Just to like establish the run in the beginning, kind of open up the defense a little bit, then work the tight ends, and then play action, big pass, Devonta Smith. What's my man's name? Quez Watkins.
Yeah, Quez Watkins.
And
you got Greg Ward over there still,
and Jalen Reagor.
Jalen Reagor. Yep.
That's kind of like how I'm looking at it. You gotta start it off there and then kind of open things up. Don't get so one-dimensional so quick. Don't give up so quick. And defensively, you're going to have to do your best. That's all. I don't really Kansas City's going to play really angry. Really angry. I think they're going to come out and try to get an early lead right off the bat. And other side of sports says here, Eagles coaching is not smart enough to devise a proper game plan for the Chiefs. They're still figuring out what they have in Hurts. This is facts. And I think most teams, it's hard to devise a game plan. I think even the Chargers, they're lucky to come out with a victory last week. You get those 3 turnovers early on in the game, and it kind of sets you up for success for the rest of the game, But it's tough to game plan against the Chiefs, man. They got a lot of weapons over there, ton of weapons. And their defense is having a down beginning of the year, which seems to happen every year. But this year in particular has been a little bit worse, than I feel like in the previous years with Patrick Mahomes out there on offense. He seems like to be the kind of quarterback that helps the defense. You're scoring so many points. You give defenses second chances. It's kind of flip-flop what it was like. I was talking to Big Pat and them about this on their channel of what it was like for Eli Manning. Like, Eli Manning used to get so many opportunities to get those game-winning drives. It'd be like 3 minutes, 45 seconds left in the game. He gets a chance, maybe throws an interception or we have to punt, but then he gets the ball back with like a minute 30 again, gets another opportunity, and then you get the game-winning drive. So, I think it's the opposite when it comes to the Chiefs. Their defense gets a lot of opportunities because Patrick Mahomes, you never know what he can do on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, they can put up points and a lot of points. We've seen this in the playoffs. We've seen this in the regular season. It makes me think about the game against the Houston Texans when they were up by like 24 or whatever, and they came back in that game. Just the resilience of a quarterback like that. He's the kind of guy you can put the team on his back and he can win games for you. Yeah, and look, it's just there's so many weapons. How do you game plan defensively? Like, I understand the offensive side, still trying to figure out what they have in Hurts, but like defensively, I know you say you're not a coach, but I know Coach Borsico. You know what I'm saying? X's and Borsicos. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you had to devise an initial game plan defensively against Kansas City, what's your first move? Are you taking out double teaming Hill? Or are you focusing more on Travis Kelce? Are you trying to blitzing? For me, I feel like your best bet is to, is to try and take out Tyreek Hill as best as possible.
Yeah, which you could easily do that with safety over the top, but I think in combination with that, you got to send pressure. We saw it with the Bucs in the Super Bowl where that's how they got Patrick Mahomes a little bit flustered, is when he was having to make throws with people hanging on to his jersey, and stuff like that. So I think you got to stop the run though too, because you can't allow them to run and control the clock and have Jalen Hurts on the sideline. We know that happened last week against the Dallas Cowboys. We talked about the record-breaking stat that the Cowboys had where it was 14, I think it was 13 or 14 first downs in the first quarter. At one point, they had 19 first downs to the Eagles' 9 plays. That cannot happen in this game.
That's a great point, man.
And you saw them get blown out last week. They're trying to catch up from behind. That doesn't work. And I kind of want to respond to this one, too, from Simon Coleman. He says, it's a classic situation. Mahomes got his big contract, and now he's not producing, right? But I don't think that's really the case. You know, I think when you get the bag, right, now the expectations go, oh, you have to play at the level that you play at normally or better. When you look at Patrick Mahomes' games this year, he's got no quarterback rating under 81. He had 260 yards in the last game against the Chargers with 3 touchdowns, but he did add 2 interceptions, right? Outside of that, he had 343 yards the second week with 3 touchdowns and a pick, and 337 the first week with 3 touchdowns, no picks. On the year, he's got 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 940. He's already almost at 1,000 yards. So to me, that's not producing, you know?
One of those interceptions was a crazy interception, and shout out to Asante Samuel Jr.
Oh yeah,
my sleeper defensive rookie of the year pick. But yeah, so I mean, it's crazy because I don't think anybody in their right mind saw Kansas City at 1-2 right now.
Yeah, but
right?
you know, I also think people who are looking at Kansas City, they overlooked what the schedule was. I mean, these are 2 playoff teams the first 2 weeks, and then a team that's on the rise in the Chargers week 3 that everybody's got going to the playoffs now, you know? So it's not like they came out and had a schedule like Denver where you playing 3 0-3 teams back to back to back, right? They're actually playing some pretty good teams. And it's about time Lamar Jackson beat Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he was undefeated against them, you know, and then Baker and those Browns, we know they're no slouch. They can control the clock. They got the best running backs in the league. They're number 2 in rushing in the NFL right now, and that doesn't surprise anybody. But, you know, it's Patrick Mahomes. You set the expectations for yourself. And what's the, you know, Uncle Ben from Spider-Man? He has that famous saying or whatever, you know, like with great power comes great responsibility. Patrick Mahomes has the power. You know, we're looking at Daniel Jones. You know, he can go a game, no interceptions, no touchdowns, and we're like, he played a good game. Patrick Mahomes, that can't happen.
Man, as soon as you said that, you know what went in my head was who's that? CNC Music Factory that does it. I got the power.
Oh, that was I got the power. It was a one dude name, Mark something.
Was it?
I gotta look it up now.
But that's in my head. While he's looking that up, big shout out to Lax044 for the $4.99 super chat. When you sign a big contract like Mahomes, you lose talent around you, especially on defense. You know, that used to be the case. But I feel like nowadays, the way they got these salary cap dudes, they always finding a way to, you know what I'm saying, put that together. And,
it says the artist for I've Got the Power was Snap. But remember, it was that black dude who looked like the dude from Full Force?
Yeah.
Snap. Yeah, Bluegrass on it. OG, shout out to Bluegrass in the building one time.
Yeah, so I mean, look, as much as I want Jalen Hurts to do well, and you know, from an outside of the NFC East fan, like just because I like Jalen Hurts as a football player,
he's not going to do nothing today.
I think he's going to do. I think he's going to get his. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't think it's going to be enough. So yeah. I got Kansas City winning this game by a final score of 31-20.
31-20. Okay, I got it a little bit farther than that. I think the Chiefs bounce back in a major way. I'm going to go 38-13.
Yeah, man. Sorry, Philly fans, but it's just it's a tough matchup. To go from that Dallas game right again into Kansas City, like, you know, like, I mean, trust me, don't worry. We about to feel the same pain as y'all in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been saying my prayers at night,
bro. You know, I've been saying my prayers at night. You know, I've been praying to the gods. I've been asking them, is there anything I could do superstition-wise, you know? Can I maybe wear a T-shirt or something? Or, you know, maybe I'll bring the gnome back downstairs or something. You know, I got the Giants gnome, but we've been losing since I had him. You know, I don't know. If there's something that I can do.
Is he facing the
wall? He's still facing the wall upstairs, man, from last season. Yes.
Shout out to the Giants, though. Mark Kokowski's in the building. What's going on, Mark?
What up, big Mark? How you living, fam? How you living, fam? All right, well, let's get into this next one, man. This is another good game, too. Oh, not there. Sorry about that. Where we at with it? We got this one. All right. So, these Cowboys, man, they are on a roll, man. The Cowboys are at the Panthers. The Cowboys travel to Carolina to take on the new, improved You know how Pain in the Ass used to say that on the Jay-Z albums about Memphis Bleak? New improved Jay-Z. Nah, that didn't happen either. But the new improved Carolina Panthers under head coach Matt Rule and newly acquired quarterback Sam Darnold. NFL.com was calling Sam Darnold Sam D's. Like D's nuts. I thought that was pretty funny. And he's been hanging these on defenses for 3 straight games. Panthers are entering this game banged up with Christian McCaffrey sidelined with a hamstring injury. Man, what's up with the hamstring injuries, man? Everybody hurting their hamstring. We got 2 guys out with the hamstring. People coming into the season with the hamstring injuries, man. It's been interesting. But on the other side of the ball, you got J.C. Horn placed on IR with the broken foot, which I think that's going to be more important with this Carolina Panthers defense being number 1 entering this game. Pass rush has been incredible for the Panthers, man. Hassan Reddick, who I believe was with the Cardinals last season, and Brian Burns on the edge. Both of them have just been killing it. Dak Prescott had an incredible game last week where he didn't even have to throw the ball that much, but he was sacked 4 times in that game against the Eagles, so I look for the Panthers to feast in this game. Ezekiel, my man Ezekiel Elliott.
I forgot about that episode.
Ezekiel, man. Tony Pollard, man. They combined for 180 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. We know this Panthers defense coming in ranked number 1, so they're also ranked number 1 against the run. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to keep our eyes on as well. We've seen the Cowboys compete all year on offense with multiple ways to move the football. You know, you saw it against the Bucs, man. They passed the ball pretty much every play. Running game was non-existent. Then they come out 2 weeks in a row here, running the ball, showing you that their identity is still Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard in the backfield. So for me, I'm just wondering, are we going to get the Dak Prescott who's going to throw for 400 yards, light up the scoreboard, or are the Cowboys going to go back to that running game that was successful against the Eagles and use that exact same formula to win this game here against the Panthers?
I mean, I think they're gonna have to pass the ball because you talked about that Panthers rush defense. They're only giving up 2.6 yards per carry and 45 yards per game on the ground.
Yeah, that's
so.
ridiculous.
I mean, if their defense is legit, and listen, everybody's gonna say who have the Panthers played so far. Right. I understand that, right? But look, when you play against teams that aren't good, you're supposed to dominate, right? So and what have they done? They've dominated. So now it's time to see how they're going to do against a team with as high flying of an offense as Dallas Cowboys have. So if I'm Dallas, you know, you got to see if you can run the rock because, you know, in the last 2 games, that 2-headed monster of Zeke Elliott and Pollard has been doing you really well, you know. So I think you kind of, you know, work with that a little bit, but eventually, I think they're going to have to pass the ball. And you mentioned J.C. Horn, who's out. They did trade for another one of these young stud cornerbacks in my book, and that's C.J. Henderson out of the University of Florida in his 2nd year. Got drafted by Jacksonville last year. So I don't know how quick he's going to be part of the game plan. You know, Dallas is home.
Oh, Dallas is at home, so we got this one wrong. Yeah. Appreciate that.
So we're gonna see if they're gonna implement him in the game plan early or not, or if they're gonna wait a week, you know what I'm saying, or 2 weeks before he actually gets a lot of playing time. But they obviously think that they can put him in there immediately, or else they wouldn't have gone out and gotten him so fast. You know what I'm saying? Because
and the injury forces you to do that too. You know,
we talked about that too. How like the Panthers are not playing games. They think they got something special right now, and they think they can go on a run here because you know, a lot of times when somebody goes down, you know, next man up. They went and got their next man up. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what winning teams do. They're not just going. You see the Giants. We haven't really made a major move at the middle linebacker position. You know, and you can see this with the Panthers. They're like, oh, we got a chance, and they got an early start to the season where you got the 3-0 record already. So now it's like just putting together a couple more wins. You can see yourself in the playoffs, especially in the NFC.
And this other thing too is DJ Moore been on fire, right? Sam Darnold and DJ Moore, they've been connecting. They got a little thing going. And a lot of people were like Robbie Anderson, because when Robbie Anderson was with the Jets, you know, Sam Darnold, that was his number one go-to guy.
He hasn't done anything this year.
And Robbie Anderson hasn't really done a lot. But I think this matchup is a Robbie Anderson game. Because I think, you know, Trayvon Diggs, who we talked about a lot so far this season, is probably going to be on DJ Moore a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so now this is your chance, Robbie Anderson, because listen, if you don't want Trayvon Diggs is just a turnover getting machine. Like, he's been all over the field. He's gotten a pick. I want to say he's gotten a pick almost in every single game.
Yeah,
so
one in each of the first 3. Yep.
So it's like, you know, maybe this is the game where Robbie Anderson comes out. And Mark was like, you going to talk Chubba? You know I'm going to talk some Chubba Hubbard. I think Chubba Hubbard, this is going to be – he's going to show everybody why they drafted him. You know, a lot of people were like, you got Christian McCaffrey. Why are you going out and drafting? I mean, albeit it was, you know, a later round pick. But
this
dude
the Twitter
was
moment right here for,
the Twitter
highlight clip. We're going to clip this one up right here.
So Chuba Hubbard was a all-out beast at Oklahoma State, and I think he's going. I'm glad because he kind of got some of these reps in real game time before this, when he's going to have to be a starter. So now we're really going to see what he's about. I think Chuba Hubbard goes over 100 yards total offense in this game.
Okay, total offense. You kind of clean that up a little bit.
Yeah, rushing and receiving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Total offense over 100 yards. Definitely 1 touchdown. I think Robbie Anderson has a big game too. As far as Dallas goes, they're going to have to protect Dak because you already mentioned it. Hassan Reddick, Brian Burns have combined for 7.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 11 quarterback hits between the two of them. And Dak got sacked 4 times last week against the Eagles. So it's like, now this is a good matchup. This is a good matchup because you're going to see how good both of these teams really are. So, I mean, for me, I'm excited about this game because
this could be
as
a playoff,
Washington fan,
matchup.
This is one of those games that we need the Cowboys to lose. Because
and unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to keep it 100
I know
with
you don't, but I mean, I'm
Cowboys
rolling
looking
with,
nice, man.
Look, hey, listen, I'm not taking nothing away from the Cowboys. I just think that matchup-wise, that the Panthers match up really well with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and if they were healthy, I think it would be even a better matchup. But, the question I got for you is, is it Chuba or Chuba Hubbard?
Chuba.
I like Chuba. Hubbard kind of rhymes a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I wanted to ask you is, do you think that they're going to keep him in the game plan the way they would do with CMC? We saw CMC come out like week 1 and the targets were just ridiculous. He was getting the carries. They were committed to the run. Do you think he's going to be used as like a Swiss Army knife in this game like that, where they'll target him in the passing game and give him his due, amount of carries that he deserves?
I don't think he'll be as matched with Christian McCaffrey, but I think you'll still see it because that's the interesting part. I mean,
shout out Dwayne in the building too. I see the homie Dwayne in the building. Hey, so real quickly, I just want to get on this real quick. So my homie Juice played ball with you, Dwayne, at Catholic, and saw that I was talking about you and Zach on the last podcast. He told me to tell y'all what's up, man. He said y'all real good peoples, and he said if you messing with me, that's a good chemistry right there. You got to have good folks around you. So he gave a good word about the both of y'all, man. So shout out to homie Juice, man. He's got a clothing line out here in DC that people should definitely check out too.
Shout out Catholic University football team.
Yeah, and Dwayne, you still can't check me. Let's keep it 100.
I'll check me either, Dwayne.
I'm out here. I'm out here.
All right. One question for you, because I know we've
it's a good one.
We've historically been on opposite sides of the Sam Darnold spectrum, right? But I have come around, and because I'm not one of these people, I will give respect where respect is due.
Yep.
How good is Sam Darnold?
He's as good as I thought he was when he was with the Jets. He's not going to be this A1 quarterback that's going to be able to take the team, put the team on his back. But if you put the right pieces around him, he's going to be able to get the job done, which to me, most of the quarterbacks that fall at number 8 to about number 16, right? They're that style of quarterback. They're not the Russell Wilsons, the Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes, or even a Justin Herbert. These are quarterbacks that need a lot of help. And it seems like he's got enough help over there. He doesn't have to play a perfect game to get the W over there, which that happens with teams that have good pieces around them and good coaching around them. And when I think about my New York Giants, teams that are disciplined, man, they don't make mistakes in the biggest moments of the game. They go out and make plays in the biggest moments of the game. And you've seen that in the first 3 games with the Carolina Panthers. And Sam Darnold looks like a totally different quarterback over there. And I wanted to kind of throw this out there too with your prediction on Robbie Anderson. I think Sam Darnold's looking at it like, man, I had that weapon in New York. That wasn't working. Let me go to my man DJ Moore. I went and looked up DJ Moore's his height and his weight, his measurements. And I was surprised, man. Dude is 210. That's a big boy. He's got to be under 6 feet, right? So that's all muscle. He must
have put on some weight. I mean, not necessarily like weight, but muscle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it looks like it, man. He's running tougher because he's always been that. I don't want to call him a gadget player, but he's the kind of player that could do a lot. He can catch it out the backfield for a short stop route. You could give him the reverse. You could give him the slant. You could give him the dig. You can give him a curl. He can do it all. He could even take a seam down the field and catch down the field. And stretch the field as well. But this year, I'm starting to see a tougher guy breaking tackles, getting that yak. He's becoming a a wide receiver that I think that people around the league need to be on notice that he's going to be a guy. I was sleeping on him coming into the year, along with a guy like Brandon Cooks. I felt like they were on that cusp of they're not like true number ones, but both of them I think are both, you're seeing them mature and they're coming into their own as becoming now number one wide receivers for their respective teams.
And I got another name because, like every game I got to give you, what I'm saying, a couple Notre Dame names, you know what I'm saying? So keep your eye on a young man by the last name of Tremble.
Oh, yeah, you've been talking about Tremble. Yeah, you've been talking about Tremble.
Because they traded away their tight end in that C.J. Henderson deal. So I think he's going to come into this game, and it's going to have a lot of pressure on him to kind of fill that void from their tight end that they just dealt in that C.J. Henderson deal. So definitely keep your eye out on him. I have a feeling that we're going to be
shout
Brooklyn's
out RB Brooklyn in the building. I don't think I've ever seen RB Brooklyn in the chat before. Salute to RB Brooklyn one time. He says, Brooklyn in the building. Let's go, Big Blue.
Shout out to RB Brooklyn for the $4.99 super chat. Says, call me a sucker. I still believe. Let's go, Giants. Brooklyn in the building. Shout out Brooklyn. I used to live in Brooklyn. I lived in Brooklyn. Now, let me tell you, I lived in Brooklyn. This was, do you know how long it's been since I lived in Brooklyn?
20 years. It's been about 18
years.
Probably. Yeah.
19 years. So 19
and
years
y'all
ago,
was only
I
there for like
lived in
19
Brooklyn.
days. And then y'all was right back.
I lasted long.
Fire.
I lasted long. You know what I'm saying? But I lived in Brooklyn on Prospect Ave in Park Slope 19 years ago. So it's not the same place that it was 19 years ago. We had a 3-bedroom apartment in a brownstone on Prospect Ave, and we was only paying like $1,600 a month. Like right now, that same like style of a place is probably like $6,000 a month. So shout out Brooklyn.
DC been the same way.
I got a feeling though, you and I are going to be on opposite sides on this game.
Are you talking about the next game or?
No. I'm talking about this Dallas-Carolina game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm picking the Cowboys.
Are you picking the Cowboys?
Yes, the Cowboys have shown and proved that they can win games when they make mistakes. They can run the ball and win games. They can pass the ball and win games. Their defense can win games. They make stops. They make turnovers. Don't forget they're first in the NFL in takeaways right now.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is this game more about Dallas or is it more about Carolina? Like in the mentality in which you're picking?
It's 50-50.
Like, are you think Dallas is anything right, can beat anybody right now the way that they're playing?
Dallas just beat the Chargers, and the Chargers just beat the Chiefs. The Dallas Cowboys right now in Week 4 can compete with any team in the NFL. If they're going up against, who you got at the top of the league right now, the Bills who just blew y'all out, right? I got the Cowboys putting up a good game against the Bills. I can't even really think of any other teams that are like that. The Rams, they put up a lot of points against the Bucs. So the Rams and the Bucs, you already saw the Cowboys win against the Bucs Thursday night, opening day. Dak Prescott coming off a broken leg, still competed. So I don't even think that's a question. It's a 50-50 thing as far as who's got more to prove in this game between the Carolina Panthers and the Dallas Cowboys, because both these teams are kind of surprising. NFC East people didn't think that Dak Prescott would make this much of an impact for the Dallas Cowboys. When you remove Dak Prescott from the equation, the Dallas Cowboys look like the worst team in the division. Yeah. To me, that says a lot about the quarterback. Shout out to Big Pat. Again, they was talking about Dak Prescott in their stream, and me and Diggy were saying, like, a lot of people be sleeping on Dak Prescott. I don't know why. He's one of maybe I'll give you 10 quarterbacks in the NFL that you can remove from the roster and the team completely turns to garbage. We know Russell Wilson is one of those right there, but he's never hurt to even see that. But he's the kind of quarterback, if you remove him from the Seattle Seahawks, that team is going to be garbage. Aaron Rodgers, if Aaron Rodgers can't get it going like you saw in Week 1, when he, for my fantasy team, put up 1.5 points, they are not even a...
You ain't going to never let that
It's not even a contest, bro, when he's not playing well. It's not even a contest. Tom Brady, we know what the GOAT does over there with the Bucs because you saw it with Jameis Winston. Now, I know Jameis Winston didn't quite have the pieces with the ABs and the Fournette, but those guys, they're making plays, but they're not making massive plays, to be the difference. It's Tom Brady over there. So, I think Dak Prescott needs to be mentioned in that conversation of quarterbacks where when you remove him from the equation, their teams are awful,
Yeah, I think that if anybody earned a contract in a hurt season, there hasn't been anybody that earned it more than Dak Prescott did in this last season. Because I mean, you can see it's night and day. It really is.
It's night and day.
I think Dak is definitely, he has an opportunity now. This year, in the next two to 3 years, I'd say, is a good window for him to really make some moves here, as rising up the ranks in tiers of quarterbacks in the National Football League, because I think he's only going to get better, and I just, we're going to see. I just really think that this matchup is going to tell me a lot about this Dallas team and about this Carolina team. I'm excited for this game. I really am.
And I think Dallas got a little bit more leadway, because if they come out and fall flat in this game, people aren't going to say, you're not going to have the normal rumblings that you hear from other organizations, like when one game goes bad, like the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh my God, get rid of Jalen Hurts. We're drafting a quarterback, blah, blah, all that, right? We know what Dak Prescott is, so he's got a little bit of leadway. He's built the reputation to be able to even come out in this game and fall flat, and still people are still going to look at the Cowboys as a perennial playoff team. We're not going to say maybe a Super Bowl contender, because we know how that's gone the past 20, 25 years with them. They can't win when it comes to the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I think Dak Prescott, he's a guy in this league. I can remember in the offseason, or maybe even in last season, chopping it up with a few people about, I was saying that Dak Prescott is on the same level of quarterback as Josh Allen, and people looking at me crazy, right? But those are the two guys that are pretty much right on the cusp of either being in or out of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And once you get out of that, it completely falls off. Tier 2 of quarterbacks in the NFL is just, they can't even match up to Tier 1. And the only guys on the cusp really is Josh Allen and Dak Prescott. And I think Dak Prescott is actually a little bit closer to being that guy on the cusp, because he's been doing it a little longer.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're going to see. We're going to find out. This game, I'm telling you, is going to tell us a lot about both of these teams.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So as far as score prediction goes, I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys in this game. And I'm going to take them. I picked them at the beginning of the year, too. And that's why I want to stick with this pick. I know Carolina has come out. They've surprised people a little bit more. But I'm going to go Dallas Cowboys in this one. I think the Cowboys are going to put up 31, and I think that the Carolina Panthers are going to struggle to put up points. So I think it'll be about 31-19, Dallas Cowboys.
Listen, I struggled.
Oh, great
on
point,
this
Dwayne. Great point. Without Watson in the league, yeah, facts.
I struggled with this game because, we've seen a lot of Dallas. We've talked a lot of Dallas, and I mean, their offense is incredible. And I think what's more impressive so far this season is the way that their defense has played. I mean, Micah Parsons has been great out the gate. Diggs, obviously, his improvement from last season to this season is astronomical. But I really have a feeling about this Carolina matchup. I think they're going to give Dallas some problems, and I'm going to take Carolina to win by a final score of 21-17.
21-17. Okay, so we're not too far off. I got Dallas scoring a couple more points. You got it a little bit closer. I think that the quarterback matchup is not even the main one to keep your eye on. I think a coaching matchup is a good one to keep your eye on in this one, too, because if Matt Rule can come out here and win this game, wow, that's going to speak volumes for a rookie head coach, when we were literally in the NFC East with 3 new head coaches just making up excuses last year. Like, no offseason, COVID, new coaching. That's why the NFC East is such a bad division, and here he is in Carolina 3-0, sitting on trying to go 4-0 here against the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm not by myself. I'm not alone. Margie also.
Oh yeah, I don't think you should be alone in this one. Carolina is a good team. I think Dallas is just a better team right now. We'll see though. We'll see. What's up, Adam? Adam in the building. Adam was killing it on that Big Pat joint, man. He was definitely dropping some good gems, man. I love, like, when you have a debate between 2 and 3 people and everybody's opinion is kind of different. You really get some good perspectives. And that's what that Giants community thing was about on Twitter a lot of, too. Like, some people putting blame on Garrett, some people putting blame on Judge, some on Patrick Graham, execution, penalties, discipline, players, all that. So, I mean, it's really great when you can see conversation like that.
Facts. Absolute facts.
All right, let's run into this next one. Let's do it.
Check it. Washington.
Oh, shout out to this beat. I sold this one to Wilson. It's on Wilson's album. This beat was fire. It was tough for me to let this one go, for real. Man, so Washington, I believe, is traveling to Atlanta. Much like the New York Giants last week, Washington finds themselves in a must-win matchup here against the Falcons. I was checking out Ed Oliver's breakdown of this game, man, because a lot of people have been telling me I got to check out Ed Oliver. Shout out to Ed Oliver, man. He had the breakdown that he put up was like 30 minutes. Super dope breakdown. He was talking about how the Washington football team is bottom 5 in just about every defensive category this year, and I know Washington fans did not think that was going to be the case. Taylor Heineke is going back to Atlanta for his homecoming game versus a defense that allowed 94 points in 3 games. Now, we know against the New York Giants, they only allowed 14 points, and everybody's talking about, the Giants can't put up 14 points. So I know Washington football team better not shoot themselves in the foot when it comes to red zone play, like my Giants did against them Falcons. Broke it down, drive 1, drive 3, both were at fault on execution. You can't blame the coaches when the snap's going over the quarterback's head or going through his hands, and you can't blame the coaches on the execution of the offensive line. I mean, one of my homies on Twitter said that we look like Looney Tunes, the way that Bredesen fell and the way Price looked like his shoelaces was tied at the line. It was pretty bad, man. But with the football team schedule about to hit their toughest stretch, they're looking to go to Atlanta and come out with a victory, which for y'all, not only is this a must-win game, this is a huge game to try to get back to 2-2, right? I mean, that would be – y'all lucked up, got that win against the Giants, man. So now, like, if you could salvage this with a win in Atlanta, y'all could be right back in the mix, man. And I told people, don't judge a defense by 2 games. Everybody's like, Atlanta got the worst defense in the league, worst pass defense in the league. Right now, their pass defense is sitting at number 19, or actually number 17 in the NFL, and their run defense is sitting at number 19. So now with the game against New York looking a little bit better, they've put themselves more in a position to look more middle of the road when it comes to defense, which is kind of what I thought they were at the beginning of that matchup. Both these teams have been awful on third down, and the Beard gave you a bunch of nuggets last episode about Washington's third down defense, which is now ranked dead last in the NFL.
Worst.
Yeah, pretty terrible. The Falcons' third down defense isn't much better. They're ranked 23rd in the NFL. They're allowing teams to convert on almost half of their plays. 43% of the time on third down, teams are converting against the Falcons. I'm wondering if the Falcons can also maybe salvage their season and get back to 2-2. See, the Giants, we needed one of those fluke wins somewhere along the line, so we could be trying to get back to 2-2 here. But the Falcons, man, if they can get to 2-2 with this team here, Arthur Smith is another young coach or another new coach that we got to put on notice as well, too, if the Falcons could get back to 2-2. And again, for Washington football team, this one could be a really important game if they get back to 2-2. The Beard, you talked about your nuggets on third down. You talked about your linebackers struggling in coverage last week. My thing is, what is Washington football team's approach to stopping Kyle Pitts? Cordell Patterson, who's a sneaky play right there. He's a person that you got to keep your eyes on. I don't know what the Giants were doing, putting Rodarius Williams in man-to-man coverage on that last drive. Cordell Patterson burns us for a 30-yard gain. One more play later, they're in field goal territory to kick the game-winning kick. But for the Beard, I want to ask you this, man. How y'all going to stop? What is the approach to stopping this Atlanta offense?
Listen, Kyle Pitts.
he gave him the Kanye, man.
Listen, that's the thing,
mine.
man. Is that you can't expect everything to change overnight. It's just not going to, because there's a lot of problems on the defensive side of the ball. And everybody has their own theory as to what the problems is. Whether it's coaching, execution. Like I even saw people. Let me tell you, this is a public service announcement to everybody. Whether you're a fan, whether you're in the media, just stop with the Chase Young slander, okay? They was
with the overrated vibes.
Not even just the overrated vibes, but they were trying to say that Chase Young is lacking effort.
You cannot question NFL players' effort, man. Yo,
and this was what's my man's name? Brian Baldinger, is that his name?
Oh, but Brian Baldinger, he has some excellent breakdowns. Them Baldy breakdowns, them joints be good.
He does, but look.
The one thing is, though, he's still filming the screen from his camera phone. We got to fix that.
You can't. He needs some authentic in his life.
Yeah, he needs some production. Hey,
you can't take one play, though, right? You can't take the one, because I know what play he was talking about. He's talking about the play where Josh Allen, they were in the red zone. I didn't even watch the whole breakdown. I just was listening. When Chase Young kind of like, he got the pressure in, and Allen went outside and like he kind of didn't run after him, right? But if you want to do that, then what about the play where he's running sideline, basically yard for yard with Saquon Barkley down the sideline on Saquon Barkley's big run? Like, you just don't question stuff like that. To me, that stuff is just it's unnecessary. But I think that if Washington is looking for an opportunity to get themselves right, this is a good game to do so. I mean, Atlanta offensive line has allowed 3 sacks twice in the first 3 games, okay? I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Y'all know I love to give a prediction every once in a while on how many sacks my Washington football team gets, and they ain't getting none last week. But we going to get 4 this week. We're going to get 4 sacks this week.
We haven't gotten, this number right all year, I don't think.
No, we did. We did. I got it right in the Giants game.
Oh,
the Giants
four
game,
sacks.
I crushed that game. I got the sacks exactly right. I got the Galladay targets exactly right. I picked the winner exactly right. You know what I'm saying? So
which is just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. You did say it was going to be an ugly game, though, with turnovers, though. We did say that.
Yeah. And so I think that they're embarrassed right now. I'm pretty sure there was a players only meeting.
You gotta love those,
Washington.
right? The player.
Yeah, you gotta love those.
Forget these coaches. It's on us. We need to rally each other up and hype each other up to make some plays on the field. And Washington is struggling.
And to me, it's really, I'm curious to see if there's going to be any adjustments as far as personnel and positions on the defensive side of the ball, because they got to do something different, because what they doing is just not working. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think a lot of it too is just it's so gap assignment based, which is what I was talking to Corey about yesterday. It's like, okay, if somebody doesn't go to their right gap assignment, you know what I'm saying, then the edges are trying to push them in, and then it's up to the interior, to get the sack. And if they're pushing the pressure from the inside and pushing them outside, then the DN's got to have that contained, and they got to make the play. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of that. And obviously, we like to see Chase Young, get a little bit more hand in the dirt, work on some more techniques and stuff like that. And I saw him do that in the offseason. I talked about this on Tuesday. I saw him stay late after practice and working on some techniques. I want to see him use those now. You know what I'm saying? But it's not just Chase Young. It's not just Montez Sweat not getting sacks. The linebackers are bad. We knew the linebackers were going to be bad. Yep. But it's maybe we got to, switch some people around. Maybe you got to, switch Jamin Davis and Bostic. Something's got to be done different. But I think
I think one of y'all biggest problems too is playing a lot of single safety high, which when you're playing quarterback, single safety high is easy to beat. I mean, you look him off. As soon as he steps one way, we go on one-on-one to the opposite side. You saw it with the Giants in that game. Granted, they didn't connect on the big one to Darius Slayton, but they caught Landon Collins, peeking into the box
Landon
a little
Collins
bit and stepped up on the tight end. Yeah, I mean, but it's also, you got to, with Landon Collins, the Giants showed you it's all about your coach has got to put the player in the position to make the play. He's not fast. We know that. So when he's chasing, I'm like, y'all messed up right there. You got to put him in a position where he's stopping the run for the most part. And maybe he's the kind of guy that you bring down and convert him into a money backer, Look at what the Buffalo Bills were doing with Tyron Johnson, moving him around everywhere. You see him in the slot. You see him as a linebacker. You see him on the edge. You see him as strong safety, free safety. And Landon Collins is one of those hybrid players that has been very difficult to figure out how to utilize him. It reminds me of the same problems that the Giants are having with Jabril Peppers.
Carlos Hyde is out for tonight's game. Got to the stadium, and apparently his shoulder is hurt. I don't know how that happens on your way to the stadium, but just in case anybody, needed to know that, Carlos Hyde is out for tonight's game. Listen, this is the most important thing to me when it comes to Atlanta and Washington, because I talked about how bad Washington has started offensively and defensively. The most important thing about this football game, and if Washington wants to win this football game, because they need to win this football game, this is a must-win game for Washington. The most important thing is that Washington scores a touchdown on its first possession and stops Atlanta from scoring on their first possession. That's the most important thing about this football game, because Washington has not scored on its first possession in Glock's in the building in 19 straight games.
Yeah, that was a nugget.
They have not scored, right?
It's been awful for them.
And then they've allowed a touchdown by the opposing team on their first drive each game so far this year. And we've already established, Taylor Heineke is not the dude to be playing from behind. Tell
that to the New York Giants.
Well, we should have lost that game. I mean, he threw the interception at the end of the game. I mean, We could talk about that game for years. We probably will.
I wouldn't give him the Jameis Winston label quite yet, but
he's close.
The Bills showed you, but the Bills was blowing the socks off y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
21-0 in no time. So I mean, and we the sample size for Taylor Heineke is small from playing from behind.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of people are calling for more of an establishment of the run game. I think Antonio Gibson has a huge game. Use all the running backs. Where's my man Patterson at? Bring him in. Let him.
Yeah,
get
Patterson showed in the preseason that he could ball out.
You know what I'm saying?
And McKissick in the passing game.
I am worried about Cordell Patterson and Kyle Pitts. I think both of them are going to have good games. I think you're going to see the Washington defense do better. You're going to see a lot of what they've been doing so far in the bend don't break sort of situation. So I think that those things are going to all add up, and I think they play a better game. They're still not going to be back. They're not going to be back all the way, but they're going to play a better game. And Margie wants to know what happened with Terry McLaurin last week. I mean, he didn't. He got a couple targets and he had a couple catches, but they were getting blown out. Yeah, and Trayvon Edmonds was on him, and Heineke missed him. Oh man, there was just one play. I forget who it was that broke it down. I was watching it on Twitter the other day. It was he had two outside receivers, and it was up to him to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? Which route he was going to go to, and the corner on the top, right before the play starts, he starts to fade back, and that right there should have been his sign that okay, I'm not going to go to him. I'm going to go to McLaurin, and he still went with the guy up top. It was incomplete pass down at the bottom. Terry McLaurin had like 3 steps on the corner, and it would have been the right play to make. So, like, those are the sort of things that Heineke's still working through, obviously. But I expect McLaurin to have, another 11-catch, 114-yard game in this game here. Logan Thomas, this is another thing, too. We don't know yet if Samuel's going to be back.
He might be back this week, though.
He might be back for this game. That's going to be huge because outside of Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin, and Adam Humphries.
Yeah, Humphries, he's looking a lot better.
He's got 10 catches.
I was sleeping on him coming into the year, and I think he's more of his in his kind of like play what he was doing with the Bucks, more over than what he was doing with the Titans. Because with the Titans, he was quiet.
But outside of those three, no other wide receiver wide receiver, tight end, running back has double-digit receptions so far.
Yeah.
So only those 3 guys. So it's going to be interesting, and we have to win the game, and I believe that we will win the game.
Yeah, you got to.
Right
now, your season is on the line. But one thing about the Atlanta Falcons, I wouldn't be surprised
if we lost.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I don't know why people sleeping on this Falcons team. Last year, their problem was the defensive side of the ball. They were putting up numbers, on the offensive side of the ball. And our wide receivers struggled against them a little bit, I think, in the passing game. And I think on their side of the ball, when they're on offense, once they get in the red zone, that whole bend, don't break philosophy that Washington football team has, you're going to throw that out the window because they got some of the biggest wide receivers in the league. With Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson, who Cordell Patterson is on man time. You see what he did to Logan Ryan on that little catch? You see that stiff arm on a third down conversion? Coaches can't do nothing about that. You see the pass interference call on Logan Ryan where he's literally like looking like he's a little towel on the side of Kyle Pitts holding on to the jersey and doing all that. When you got a physical specimen like that, the wide receiver position, and he's going up against shorter defensive backs, it's a recipe for failure for your defense. So for me, I'm looking for the Atlanta Falcons to come out here and really control not only running the ball like they did against the New York Giants, because they committed to that run with Cordell Patterson and Mike Davis heavy. It didn't yield these large stats running the ball, but when it came time to pass the ball, they had matchups and they had separation from their wide receivers. I'm looking for the same thing. And Calvin Ridley was relatively quiet against the New York Giants. I'm looking for him to come out and have a big game because for me now as a Giants fan, all the teams in the NFC East just need to lose. That's what I'm looking for. So that hopefully there's a hope, and maybe there's a miracle run we can make somewhere along the lines, getting to these playoffs at like 6-10, 7 or 6-11, 7-10 now maybe in this NFC East division that's been struggling outside of the Dallas Cowboys. But the Falcons they make for a tough matchup. People want to say like Matt Ryan is cooked, but he can still deliver the ball when he has time. And I think that's the most important thing for the Falcons is you got to generate time for Matt Ryan. And I think that's why, the coaching staff is predicating everything off the run first. You look at the Falcons and you're like, they running the ball? That don't even make no sense with this roster. But they're making it work, even though the personnel doesn't equate to be like the perfect fitting for their coaching scheme and for their philosophy. It's working for the Atlanta Falcons. I think a lot of other teams need to take notes.
And this might be Kyle Pitts coming out party, too, against these linebackers.
Yeah, we waiting on that. But sometimes you could just be, I know everybody got these high hopes for Kyle Pitts, but sometimes you could just be that guy. 4 catches, 5 catches a game, be effective. Make sure you got strong safeties playing you over the top, with linebackers trying to cover you as well. You're going to open up other things for other people, Cordell Patterson being one of them.
Yeah, and he scares me the most of anybody just because of his versatility. Washington always seems to have trouble with those type of players.
Facts.
A la Boston Scots and people like that. You know what I'm saying?
East killer.
These people that can do a little bit of everything. And shout out to Cordell Patterson because my man, he's reinvented himself 3-4 times now.
This is second year with Atlanta or first?
First year with Atlanta. He
First
was with
year.
Chicago
a guy like that is a free agent, and no one goes to scoop him. And I'm talking to you, Joe Judge, because you coached him in New England. Why don't you go scoop a guy like that for nothing? They're not paying him nothing crazy, and he's very effective, man. He does a lot. He could be the kind of guy that I wouldn't mind seeing paired with Saquon Barkley. It don't got to be a power back like I've been complaining about all week. It could be a guy who's a gadget kind of back, catch out of the backfield, strong guy, matchup problem for defenses.
That, to me, that's like one of the best type of players you can have in today's NFL.
Yeah.
Right?
You
somebody
got to have the right coach that can coach him up.
Matchup nightmare.
Yep.
Because he's technically a running back, but he's not a running back. We all know that. He's a wide receiver.
He's a wide receiver. Yeah, and he's a kick returner. And they might as well put him on defense.
Lax 044 with a $1.99 super chat says Kyle Pitts can't be a 4-catch guy at 4th overall.
Man, look, for me, man, if you want the guy on your team, go get the guy. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, we picked him at number 2, speaking about Saquon Barkley, and that means he's got to be better than the guys who were picked in the 6th round. Tariq Hill was picked in the 6th round. Darren Waller, undrafted. Travis Kelce, 3rd round. What's the tight end in San Francisco?
George Kittle,
4th or 5th round pick. They're not looking at him and going, oh, man, what about the guys who were picked before him? What about TJ Hawkinson and all these people? No, get out there and play. I don't care where you were drafted. If you were drafted to be a weapon on the team, be a weapon on the team. People are sitting there saying, Kadarius Toney, he's not getting in the game. There's clearly something wrong. It's clearly something wrong when a guy's not getting on the field. But I'm not looking at him going, oh, but we had Jamar Chase picked it, earlier in the 1st round. I'm not comparing them. You got drafted to the NFL. That's the big moment. Once you're in the NFL, start making plays, man. I don't care where you was drafted.
Facts. He's going to be a beast, though. I got a good feeling.
It's not even going to be a beast. He's already a beast. He's a matchup nightmare, bro. He's making everything easier for everybody else on that offense.
And he was, a big part without even making the catch because he drew that pass interference penalty in the game against you guys.
And look, here's the thing about Kenny Galladay that people don't understand. Go look at how many pass interference calls that Kenny Galladay has already drawn 3 games into the season. Those things don't show up on the stat book. There was one that was on the 1-yard line. When you look at Saquon Barkley's touchdown, you might as well go gift wrap it and hand it to Kenny Galladay. He's the reason why we were there on the goal line. But those things don't show up on the stat book. You know what I'm saying? And Kyle Pitts, same thing. You got Logan Ryan hanging off him because he got no choice. Giants ain't got no money left. I see that one in the chat. Looking like you ain't got nothing else on this Washington game. I can put a button on this one. I'm good with this game. Give me the Falcons in this game. I think they're going to win a close one, maybe 23-21.
No love, huh? There's going to be some separation in the Awthentik and the Beard standings after this week, I have a feeling.
Yeah, I don't know what we looking like. I know I lost 3 week 2, fell to 4-3. Last week
4-3 after that.
Yeah, so now what after week 3, I know I fell on the Giants game. Cowboys Eagles, I got that right.
Yep.
And Washington Bills, I got that completely right as a blowout.
As did I.
So 2-1. Oh, you picked the Bills in that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that. I got to go back and check that one.
Nah, 100%.
I don't know about that. don't know about
I was
that.
3-0, so I'm 7-3 right now.
So you got one game up now.
Yeah.
And you picked Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you one game up.
And it was that Thursday night game. I don't remember that one, but we're close. We're close. But
let
listen,
me
I'm gonna
think.
go with Washington.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is a must-win game, and I think their defense comes out and changes things. Final score is going to be 21-13, Washington.
Yeah. I don't see Atlanta only putting up 13 points. It's kind of crazy.
One Kyle Pitts touchdown and a couple of Young Hoku's.
A couple of Young Hokus. That sounds like you're going to have a night at the strip club or something. A couple Young Hokus. All right, man, let's get into this commercial break one time, and then we'll come back and we'll do the Giants game, get people out of here. We got Thursday Night Football coming up here, man. We got about 20 minutes to knock these out, so we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Your wide receiver on IR? Aw, shucks. Your running back keep fumbling every week? Man, damn it all. Well, come chop it up with your boys. We are waiver wire tight. Awthentik and The Beard. Every Sunday morning, streaming live at 11 a.m.
All right, man, let's get into the real deal game of the week. My New York Giants are headed to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Giants fans might not be happy until we fire Jason Garrett. Still, the Giants are headed to New Orleans to take on the Saints in another must-win game, sitting at 0-3. Donuts, man, for everybody. This is crazy in New York. Saints are coming off a victory versus the Patriots, as predicted by that guy, The Beard. But shout out to another Tim from Online Big Blue, who said, Jason Garrett is going to be the sacrificial lamb for the mistakes of Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge. And you can put Daniel Jones in that bubble as well. The Giants are an undisciplined team waiting for a mistake to happen, and it usually happens in the red zone. I tuned into my new favorite show, man, Max Kellerman with Jason Williams and my man Keyshawn Johnson. I'm loving their content, man. They're bringing on incredible guests. And they had Bill Parcells on there, and this dates back a week ago. The interview just got leaked on their YouTube page, though, and I was checking this one out. And a lot of people, I put this on Twitter, a lot of people was like, Bill Parcells got the same old playbook that Jason Garrett got. We can't be taking tips from Bill Parcells. Y'all might be too young to understand Bill Parcells got this New York Giants team 2 Super Bowls early on when I was a youngin'. And he said it's all about balance. Barkley is part of that balance. He has to cross that mental barrier you have to cross after you have a major injury. And when asked specifically about Jason Garrett, he responded, it's predictable, yes, but it's predictable because he hasn't had his running back. Sometimes the situation will just not let you succeed. Until they get balance in the running game and better execution with the underneath routes, it's going to be problematic. With the season on the line, can Jason Garrett lead this offense and put up enough points? And can this Giants defense stop Jameis Winston, which sounds absolutely ridiculous coming off of those terrible years he had with the Tampa Bay Bucks? But I'm looking for us to put up enough points. Y'all know my thing I've been saying all Awthentic and The Beard history is the Giants need to take a page out of Sean Payton's book and use the man Saquon Barkley like how the Saints use Alvin Kamara. Implement him in the passing game. Alvin Kamara has never had a 1,000-yard season, never had a 2,000-yard all-purpose season either, I believe. We're talking about maybe 5-6 years of that. He was close to 1,000 yards last season. But that's how you keep your running back durable and available. And availability is the best ability in the NFL. So I'm looking for Jason Garrett and Joe Judge to take a page out of Sean Payton's book, figure out how to use my man Saquon Barkley in the screen game, figure out ways to get him the ball in open field. And this nonsense about Saquon Barkley is tiptoeing through the holes and whatnot. That's nonsense. Don't let people convince you of that. That's nonsense. The only time you see Saquon Barkley dancing in the backfield is when there's defenders in the backfield. But for me, I'm looking for the Giants to come out in this game, set the tone early, and the red zone play has just got to be better, man. You look at last week's game, they had those 2 early red zone attempts. We dominate the first half. On the first one, you get the snap going through Daniel Jones' hands, sets up now a 2nd and 17. We can't be climbing out of these kind of holes when you got 1st and goal, and we were at the 7-yard line on that one. And then on the third drive, you had the other one where Bredesen and Price just look like fools. They get Daniel Jones sacked. Daniel Jones loses 11 yards again on that one. And you're looking at another, after a false start penalty, you're looking at now 2nd and 20-something, and it's 2nd and goal, which makes no sense. I talked to Big Pat about this on his stream too, from the chat just recently. I was just talking about this too, about how, Jason Garrett is getting a lot of this blame for the red zone problems that the Giants are having. But a lot of it is coming from an undisciplined team. Penalties, making mistakes. You look at the last drive that the New York Giants had against the Atlanta Falcons last week. It was 14-14. Daniel Jones has an opportunity to go down the field, put his team on his back, win the game, and Nate Solder happens. Nate Solder been getting bullied. I don't know if you saw the second clip from Nate Solder. It's literally almost an exact instant replay of the play with Von Miller, where he comes from like outside of the whole screen and just bull rushes him and puts him on his butt. That cannot be happening to your right tackle. We know that the Giants went out and signed the former Tennessee Titans first-round pick, who was also a Georgia Bulldog over there with Andrew Thomas. I forget the kid's name, Isaiah Wilson. And he's pretty much the Dwayne Haskins of right tackles right now. He got into the league and he literally was skipping meetings to go shoot rap videos. This dude was like literally getting DUIs left and right. When he did get a second chance with the Miami Dolphins, he didn't show up they weren't mandatory workouts, but he did commit verbally saying that he would show up. Didn't show up. They find a video of him on Instagram when he's supposed to be at these not mandatory workouts. He's on Instagram standing on top of a car doing dances with no shirt on and a gold chain on with some girl, just losing his complete mind. He even had some tweets where he posted one time where he was saying that he's pretty much a failure. I'm a paraphrase. He was saying he was a failure. He doesn't want anything to do with football anymore. But when you look at this guy's measurements, he's like 6'6", 300-something plus pounds. He is a body, and he was straight bulldozing people in the running game when he was over there in Georgia with Andrew Thomas. So, it's a high risk or low risk, high reward kind of pick, for the Giants, who are definitely struggling on the offensive line. I mean, we need help at the offensive line. They signed him to a practice squad deal. We'll see what he could do. I'm hoping that when he sees what Andrew Thomas is doing, he can look at that as a mate or a player or a person that he was, in college with, and they were pretty much in the same exact position. Both first-round draft picks. He was the 29th pick by the Titans. Andrew Thomas was the 4th pick, I believe, by the Giants. And, maybe you can look towards a fellow friend as an example to maybe get your life together. This is your 3rd chance at football. You got to capitalize on the opportunity. After this one, it's going to be done. So, I'm looking at this kid like exactly how I was looking at Dwayne Haskins last season. Like you wanted to give him the pass. He's young. But eventually, bro, these guys got to grow up. Yeah. These guys got to grow up. They got to mature into men. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The kid's only like 22 years old. And when I was 22 years old, I was making crazy mistakes too. I know in this Twitter world nowadays, people act like you can't make mistakes, and they want to pull people's stuff and look, to things that date back to their history and whatnot and pull that up on them and have them be at fault. But people are young. People make mistakes. So I'm looking for this kid to get his 3rd chance now. Get out here. It's not going to be in this game, obviously, against the Saints. But I do think that the Giants can compete with the Saints. I think the Giants can compete with a lot of teams in the league. And, yeah, we're not closing out games that are close games, but that's what bad teams do. So Giants got to find a way to turn this around. I'm looking for a miracle to start here in New Orleans against these Saints. And, maybe this banged-up wide receiver core, because we know going into this game that Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton are going to be out. But shout out to the kid Colin Johnson, who stepped up big last week, balled out. He had 5 catches, I think, for like 60-plus yards, which also lets you know a lot about what's going on with Kadarius Toney. And I think half of it is Kadarius Toney is meant to be in the slot, which I think we'll see a lot more of him, and he'll be involved in this game plan this week. And look to see Daniel Jones doing a little bit more RPO in this game. But I do know why the Giants are a little bit hesitant on the RPO and the read options. It's because Daniel Jones doesn't have acceleration. He's fast, but it takes, you got to start that engine up, kind of get it going, get it rolling,
ball game
put it in second gear.
It like that, yeah.
This isn't Lamar Jackson, just flying out the gate, bang. He can just turn on the quickness and get out of the defensive end's way. So with Daniel Jones, I kind of get it. But if we could get the draw play, that's another thing they went away from, which I don't like in Jason Garrett's game plan, is that if you're going to get away from the RPO and the read option, keep the draw. Keep the shotgun draw in the mix. And we didn't see a lot of shotgun draw with Saquon Barkley in this game against the Atlanta Falcons. If you can get the shotgun draw working, then you could get the RPO working, because that defensive end is going to be like, oh, I gotta push down on the runner to try to make plays if they're having success going up the middle and out, zone runs out of the draw play. it'll make your defensive ends kind of want to pinch a little bit more, and then maybe you can catch them slipping, and Daniel Jones can make his way outside with the RPO. But this game plan is going to be important. I think Jason Garrett on the year now, you had a pretty garbage game plan against the Broncos, and you had a pretty garbage game plan against the Atlanta Falcons. I like the game plan I saw against Washington in week 2, and Jason Garrett and this offense going to have to build off that if they want to see, any kind of chance at winning this game.
It's unfortunate because you guys are getting killed with injuries. I think more so than any other team in the division for sure. Just like with, the people you're missing on offensive line, now the wide receivers. It feels like every year it's with the wide receivers too. But that's why when you guys picked up Colin Johnson, I was like, I immediately went to Twitter and was like, that's going to end up being a huge pickup because I was super high on Colin Johnson. I don't understand why they gave up on him. I mean, there's just too many wide receivers in the room in Jacksonville, but he was a straight monster at University of Texas. And I want to say he's the tallest person in the NFL.
Really?
And you talk about, I believe so. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure
with Colin Johnson you talking about, right?
Colin Johnson, yes.
I think he likes 6'5", 6'6", and the boy we just signed is 6'6" as well too.
Yeah, so if it's not the tallest player in the NFL, he might be the tallest wide receiver. But nonetheless, he's tall.
Receiver, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you talk about red zone woes, and maybe I was reaching a little bit on the Kyle Rudolph situation, maybe saying that you guys should use him more in the red zone because he has 0 red zone targets. Maybe Colin Johnson is the guy who you turn to in the red zone. I mean, it makes sense, right? And I mean, he's proven that he can play. I think that he's going to have a really big impact in this game. And defensively, I mean, you guys showed a little bit of life as far as like getting to the quarterback last week. What you guys had 3 sacks last week, right? 3 sacks and 6 quarterback hits. Jameis Winston has been sacked 7 times in the last 2 games.
I wonder how many of those came in the blowout loss that they had week 2. I forget, was that against the Panthers? I think that was against the Panthers where they got blown out. Yeah, because Jameis Winston looked like the really old Jameis. He looked really bad in that game.
And I think if you can get to Jameis Winston and force him to be old Jameis Winston, then that's obviously going to be beneficial to you. I mean, what's crazy is when I was putting in the stats is I'm like, Jameis Winston only has 387 yards passing in 3 games.
Yeah, he's got 2 wins where he only passed for just around 150 yards.
Big shout out to Waterfly.
That's the formula.
For the $2 super chat. Says he's late. $9.99.
You gotta put the 99 in there. That gotta be a 199 super chat. You gotta put the 99, give him extra one.
Yeah, so I can say 199. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. But I think that's gonna be super important. Is that quarterback pressure and it just to kind of like bounce off of what you guys were able to do last week as far as getting, some pressure on the quarterback. I think that's going to be huge. I'm really interested to watch the Kamara and Saquon, matchup. I know they're on opposite sides of the field, obviously. They don't go against each other. But, we've talked about this so much. Like, I totally agree with you in the way that they should be utilizing Saquon Barkley. And he had 7 targets last week, 6 catches, I want to say.
Yeah,
Saquon
6 catches, 60-plus yards.
But I think what we want to see more of is designed passes to Saquon. I don't know how many of those catches were actual checkdowns as opposed to,
I know at least 2
screens.
of them were screens, right?
Yeah.
And you got to look at, he had a 30-yard screen that came back, so he's been effective. Everybody want to blame this on the game plans. I promise you, the number one problem is execution with the New York Giants. Holding penalties galore when you don't need them, and players making major bonehead mistakes. You look at so Saquon Barkley got a screen against the Atlanta Falcons on 3rd and 18. He's 10 yards down the field before anybody is even near him, and Brett Bredesen is out in front of the screen. He don't even get a hand on the defender. So now Saquon ends up with like a 15-yard gain. You're looking at 4th and 3, and we end up punting the ball. I'm not sure if that was the same one that Joe Judge was scared to go for where we were on the 39-yard line. I can't remember. But it's like, all you got to do is execute, and Saquon Barkley's going to probably double up on that screenplay. If you don't get the holding penalty, Saquon Barkley's probably looking at 100 yards receiving in this game. Is right. I know. It's ridiculous, bro. And I go on Twitter every day, and it's the same narrative. Coaches. Coaches can only do so much, bro.
There with you, man.
Get out there and make some plays, bro. Get out there and make some plays, man, when it's time to make the play. Because Everybody's talking about, oh man, the defense put up, the defense stopped the Atlanta Falcons to only 17 points. You can't win with your offense only scoring 14 points. But what about when it's time to win the game? That's what I'm talking about, right? When it's 14-14 or when it's 14-7 in the fourth quarter, and you got a situation where all you got to do is stop them. And if the Giants get the ball back, we're looking at probably draining out the clock, getting 2 or 3 first downs to win the game. Right? Or you're looking at it when it's 14-14 and Daniel Jones and the offense is going down the field and Nate Solder allows a sack and now you got to punt the ball. Like the coaches can't fix that. That's the thing. Or Darius Slayton in week 2 dropping the game-winning touchdown pass. Or Taylor Heineke coming down on a 2-play drive to score on a back shoulder fade route to Seals Jones. I could go on and on and on. Yo, it's been 3 games of the exact same thing. Yeah, the 3 dropped interceptions. The Adoree Jackson interception on a 15-play drive, 72 yards that takes up over 8 minutes in the game. What are we talking about here? If you look at the Denver Broncos game, right before the half, you got the Giants defense allowing an 8-minute drive for them to put points on the board right before the half, right? And then they come out in the half, they allow another 8-minute drive. The offense is on the sideline for over an hour of real time. The coaches aren't in control of that. The coaches aren't in control of that. The Giants got to get out here and make plays. Who is the person they're going to look to be like, yo, go make that play?
Yeah,
and this
Joe
the other
Judge
thing
ain't putting the cleats on.
He's
Jason
not.
Garrett's not putting a helmet on and playing quarterback again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and they're people in the Giants community are acting like, well, get the ball to our first-round draft pick. Do y'all really think that Kadarius Toney is going to be able to put his team on his back and win us games? Is that what y'all really think right now? Because that can't be the case. Everybody else got to make plays. There's no chemistry between 2 players on this team at all. There's no Daniel Jones to Kenny Galladay chemistry. There's not even that Odell Beckham spark that we had where it was Odell and Saquon. We got Odell doing reverse passes. They in the end zone. You seeing Saquon doing this thing, the Penn State dance. There's no camaraderie on this team. And when Saquon Barkley was asked about it in the press conference, and he said his answer was, when this team believes in the scheme and believes in the players and believes in each other, everybody thought that was a shot at Jason Garrett. I'm starting to look at that now like maybe that's a shot at Kenny Galladay. Maybe that's a shot at Kadarius Toney because we don't see that duo like we saw with Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham, 2 guys having fun. Even when they were losing, they only won 5 games that year, but that was a fun team, right? You saw Saquon Barkley and Odell Beckham doing a lot of dancing that year, all this Odell stuff and all that, right? We don't see none of that on this team. You don't see no high fives from Kenny Galladay and Saquon Barkley. You look it. I compared it to Jack Parkman from Major League 2. You remember when they traded for Jack Parkman from the White Sox and he came over there and he's cranking home runs, but it's like don't nobody on the team really mess with him. Remember he did the slow trot. That was his whole thing. After he hit the home run, he'd take his time on the trot. And when he came to the home plate and he was doing the trot, nobody even there to dap him up. So for me, these players got to get out here and make plays. Evan Ingram out here, first opportunity of the year, you fumbling the ball. The Giants are making more bonehead mistakes than they are actually making good plays. Daniel Jones didn't even have a touchdown thrown in this game. No interceptions, yeah. But he's not the kind of quarterback that is putting the women and children to bed and going hunting for dinner. I've been talking about it for 2 weeks now. It's time for somebody to step up. I can't keep blaming the coaches. Yeah, the coaches are mismanaging stuff too. But you could get away with doing stuff like that when your team is winning.
The players got to play.
Players got to make plays, man. Players got to make plays, and they're talking about, oh, he's got to throw the ball down the field. Well, you got to be able to block it up, man. The play with Bredesen and Price, it's like, yo, you don't see that in Pee Wee football, man. They said hike, he's on his back. He's on his back. When's the last time you seen a right tackle get blown up like Nate Solder did against Von Miller? And I can't even remember who it was last week against Atlanta. You don't even. When is the last time you saw a right tackle on his butt?
That's not a good look.
It doesn't happen, man. I'm sick of blaming the coaches. I'm sick of trying to figure out who to point the figure at. This is a team effort, and our team is not disciplined. Maybe you could put that on Joe Judge because all he was preaching off season was we're going to be a disciplined team. We're going to what did he say? We're going to run the ball down your throat or whatever, and we're going to hammer you for 60 minutes or whatever he was saying, right? We haven't seen that from the New York Giants. They've been making mistakes in the most critical moments of every game. How you getting back-to-back holding penalties from your left tackle and your right tackle against Washington to knock you out of field goal range? We lost by a field goal, right?
Yeah, more or less.
How you on the 39-yard line, you can't send out Graham Gano, who's been automatic all year long, to go make the kick? What's going on? This is failure at every level.
Yeah. I listen. It's you could be talking about Washington football team right now too. It's a lot of self-infliction.
But you know what I like about y'all is when it came down to it, right? And the Giants settled for that field goal. Y'all like, oh, y'all want to try to play conservative? well, we're not going to play conservative. We about to go down here and score.
It's a little bit of riverboat, Ron.
Yeah, a little bit of riverboat, Ron. I told you when Taylor Heineke threw that interception, even though the Giants were up, I like it. I'm digging it, yo. You trying to throw the ball to get down the field and put the game away. You was only up by 1 point or 2 points, I believe it was at the time. So I like it. Yo, instill the confidence in these players because you could tell they're not taking the leash off Daniel Jones. And at the same time, Daniel Jones, he's playing for a job next year. His football career is on the line. You think he want to go out here and keep throwing the ball deep, throwing interceptions? You see how that – look at your boy Zach Wilson. Look at your boy with the Jets right now. He's just trying to make crazy plays and just chucking the ball up. You can't do that in the NFL. I don't care what fans want. This is not Madden. This is not backyard football. This is the NFL. Teams are scheming to stop you, and they do a good job of it. And we know quarterback is slim pickings in the NFL. I just talked about the fall off from quarterback number 8 to 16. The fall off get crazy. You got Derek Carr, who bumped himself up in that top 6 conversation now. Dak Prescott, Josh Allen. Outside of that, these quarterbacks falling off. Even guys like Ryan Tannehill, they don't look like they ready. When Derrick Henry isn't running for 150 yards, he don't look ready.
They got problems in Tennessee, too.
Got big problems. Big problems.
More hamstrings.
But I would love to die on that shield of like, yo, we're going to just run the rock until it works, and then we're going to throw the rock.
Yeah.
I'd love to die on that shield. Because right now, that I got to put a little bit on Jason Garrett because he looking at Saquon Barkley like, yo, go out there and be Ezekiel Elliott. No, bro. You need to go out there and be Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's on the cusp of taking Ezekiel Elliott's job. But Dallas ain't looking at it like that. They're looking at it like, yo, we got 2 running backs that we can go to with 2 different styles that'll change tempo and keep defenses off balance. New York Giants ain't keeping nobody off balance. That's why we're running comebacks all day because it's the only thing that works.
Mic drop.
Mic drop, man. That's what it is. I'm just sick of people trying to blame everybody for this. Like, it's this one unit. It's this one coach. Put in Freddie Kitchens. Yo, Freddie Kitchens only scored over 30 points twice in his whole tenure when he was with the Browns. They was averaging like 18, 19 points a game. They had games where they only scored 7, 10, 13. Shout out to my man Tim from Online Big Blue because he broke that down. He's probably the only person I'm seeing in the whole content creating community that's saying like, yo, Jason Garrett is just going to be a sacrifice. This Illuminati for real. They gonna roast him like a pig pretty much and then fire him, and then all the problems are still not going to be fixed, and then what?
Yeah, no, and listen, I'm Freddie Kitchens. He's probably he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach, but I mean, like, he's not the answer, right? No,
and he's been working with the offensive line for the whole year, man. People don't understand that the philosophy comes from Joe Judge. He's the one who's like, I'm going to get this system. We're going to run it like this. When you see your team not go for it on 4th and 2, you can't be looking at the OC.
Yeah, that's not his call. That's
when you see the coach mismanaging timeouts on the offensive side of the ball, it's not the OC. Okay, when your offensive line is out there whiffing on blocks and getting put on their butt, there's nothing that Jason Garrett can do about that. The one thing that he's ruining right now is he has not got the second running back to pair with Saquon Barkley. We went out there on the first day of free agency and we signed Booker from the Raiders, who had a couple of years with the Broncos. The dude was a healthy scratch last week. Gary Brightwell has clearly shown he is not going to be implemented into this offense to be like a number 1 guy. You know, he's not going to be a Zeke or a Pollard. That's what the Giants need to do. They need to find a 2-back system. Even the Bears have found that, you know, in Montgomery, and when Cohen is healthy, they can do that. You got the switch of pace backs that you can bring out on the field. One guy who can clearly still run the rock, because Saquon Barkley can run the rock, but the knee is still an issue. You know, there was a couple runs there where he still laid on the ground, like after the run. See him kind of adjusting his knee pads, but he said he got hit in the private area. You know, so I mean, maybe he is completely healthy. I mean, the one play where he did that jump spin, I was like, you can't do that on a bad knee. Even though he fell, I saw a lot of people. A lot of people can't do that on a good knee. Yeah, man. So the players got to clean this up, and I like that Saquon Barkley in the press conference he put the emphasis on the players, you know, and that I can't go on longer about that. I know we got a Thursday night game here that we got to get to. I cannot hammer that nail anymore. The players got to go out there and execute. The red zone offense is pitiful, not because of the coach. Our quarterback's missing throws in the red zone. You look at the 3rd and 7 against Washington. You go look at the Broncos game. He missed 2 red zone throws on the exact same route. You say Kyle Rudolph has 0 red zone targets, but I know there's one. I remember the play. I saved it on my computer. I could pull it up right now, but the way the monetization works here, Awthentik and The Beard need every dollar we can get. You know, these lights got to stay on. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking for Daniel Jones to step up and be that guy. And you know, I felt like I almost saw it, you know, in the Atlanta game.
Shout out the homie.
When he
99.
we'll get to the super chat in 1 second. Let me just get this 1 point out. So I saw it in the Atlanta game when Daniel Jones had the 2-point conversion after the touchdown. He goes out there and he goes, I'm running over whoever's in my way. We getting these points. And then he was about to do it on the next drive, and Nate Solder allows a sack. And that's just unacceptable for the New York Giants. Let's get to the super chat, though.
Shout out First String Podcast for the $4.99 super chat. I think he agrees with everything you've said so far.
Facts. Shout out to First String Podcast in the building one time, man. Appreciate you pulling up. And I saw earlier he said once these wide receivers get clicking, then the offense will get clicking. And that's very true. I think it's got to be one or the other. The running game has got to get clicking to open up the pass, or that passing game has got to open up so that teams know that they can't stack that box and we can get some runs with Saquon Barkley and maybe some other running backs out here as well.
Man, I will tell you that throughout all of that, I don't want to pick the Giants not to win this game, because I think that they're feeling it too, man. They're in a must-win situation.
Yeah,
and
got to at 0-3.
And I really like Colin Johnson. I think he's gonna have a big game, and I think Tony's gonna have to step up this week too, because you're not gonna have Sterling Shepard, you're not gonna have Darius Slayton. I mean, where's the offense going to come from in this game? And it sucks too, because Sterling Shepard has been the guy so far this year. You know what I'm saying? He's been the guy. But
yeah, he's been a great target in the middle of the field.
Your defense is going to have to win you this football game, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's possible. I think it's possible.
Yeah,
I mean, Jameis Winston, in his 2 wins, you're looking at under 150 yards passing. In the first win, they were under 150 yards of total offense. They're stoppable.
They're a sketchy team, man.
Let's get a score on this one, though, man. Unless you got anything else, so we can.
You got to go first, because
I'll go first.
I
picked my score on this one too already. I'm going Giants, dog. Like, look, all my picks that have failed this year have failed on the Giants, so I'm gonna die swinging for my Giants. Y'all got to understand, I'm a fan of this team first. I create content second. I'm a fan of the New York. I'm a real fan of the New York Giants. I don't care if we 0-6. I'm rooting for us to get that win week 7, right? So here, I'm picking the Giants. I think that the Giants match up well against the Saints. And had we have won against Atlanta, I would have still picked the Giants. And what did I say? Giants need to come out here and win 2 games back-to-back to salvage this season. You let that one go against Atlanta, so that means you got to get another win against a team that you're not expected to beat in that next stretch that's coming up after the Saints. So it's going to be a team like Carolina, the Chiefs, who I think that it's possible to match up against them and beat them. I'm not saying we're going to go out there and beat them, but it's possible. You got to go out there, and coaches got to go out there and game plan to beat these teams. So I'm sticking with my guns, man. We played a pretty good game against Atlanta. If we could have capitalized in the red zone, we were looking at a victory there. I'm picking the Giants in this one. It's going to be 28-14 Giants.
I almost switched, but I'm going to stick with my gut. I think it's going to be a close game, but I just think that the Giants are too banged up, and they're playing in New Orleans, which kind of like shifts things a little bit for me.
Yep.
I'm going to take the Saints to win this game by a final score of 21-17.
I like the score too, because if the Saints do win it, I don't see them like putting up a rack of points on us. Is this their first game over there in the Superdome or whatever it is?
This season?
Yeah. Because I remember they were like on the road playing like some random stadium games there or something like that.
Yeah, because
so I mean, it's going to be the first or second.
Like that. I think so. Yeah. I think this is their first game at home this year.
True that.
Real home game.
That's what's up, man.
But
so,
I do think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think it will be a good game. I think the Giants can play this one close, and you know, if we could just capitalize in the red zone, that's where the Giants have been struggling, man. Is the red zone. If they can capitalize on the red zone, I think they'll be in position. And I like the matchup with our defense versus their offense better than their defense against our offense. Even though the Saints' defense is out, they've been balling out for sure. I just think that if the Giants play to what they're capable of, kind of take some of that momentum from the Atlanta game and bring it into this game, it should be a game where we could keep the Saints to a low score. I feel like somewhere around 14 or 17, like you got 19, something like that, and maybe come out with a win if we can get this offense scoring above 25. We saw it against Washington. When I look at Washington's defense on paper, they look like a good enough defense where the Giants, it's a competitive game where we did put up 29 points in that game. I could see the same thing happening here against the Saints. And like I said, man, I'm a fan. I'm dying with these Giants. They went out there and made all the moves I thought they should have made in the offseason. They went out, got Kenny Galladay, and I was saying that they needed to pair that with a wide receiver in the first round of draft. They went out there and did that. It's time to get this show clicking. It's time to get it clicking. And the onus is on the players. Y'all got to go out here, emphasize discipline. The penalties got to go. The bonehead plays got to go. We got to get rid of that, and the Giants have a chance in this game.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting. Thursday night game.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the score. So
I haven't looked at the score yet either. I don't got the chat pulled up here right now either. So we'll just make this one quick, get a quick prediction on this one, and we'll get out of here, man. That I like the Bengals colors,
right there,
bro.
Yeah.
That one right there is one. That is woo. Go Bengals.
Yeah, I was gonna say you look like we doing a Bengals podcast right now with the way
yeah, could be a little bit of Browns, vibes too. Shout out to the homie Wilson, man. This is HSBN. This is a tribute to Nas on this shirt. It's got a Nas lyric on the back of that, man. Shout out to my homie Wilson one time, man. So the Jaguars are traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, who have been a surprise through 3 games. Jamar Chase went from talking about the difficulties of catching the NFL ball with the stripes on it to blowing by defenders on a regular basis. He's got 4 touchdowns on the season to go with 220 yards receiving and has become the #1 target for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Joe Burrow, to my surprise, I told you I was kind of sleeping on him. He hadn't convinced me yet. Has been playing some pretty clean football, man. 70.7 completion percentage on the year. 7 touchdowns. Got to clean up those 4 interceptions, but that's not too bad when you got 7 touchdowns. It's a decent ratio. Also got 640 yards through the air on the year. The Bengals have won some close games, and they say good teams win close games. I talked about that, man, and bad teams don't. The Bengals have found a way to win 2 close games against the Vikings and the Bears, combined 6 points in both of those W's, and then took on a Pittsburgh team there too, and they upset Pittsburgh in that game, right? Mm-hmm. So their first loss, I believe, because they're not 3-0, they're 2-1. So I think they lost to the Bears. But Joe Burrow in that game, he was 14 of 18, which is how you want. That's the style you want your young quarterback to be playing within. 172 yards, but he had 3 touchdowns. Tonight they face the Jaguars team, who seems to be the worst team in the NFL, if you ask me. The Beard, I know you got the Jaguars, having a winning season. You said they're gonna have a winning record, man. And if you could have it your way, they're gonna win this game. Do you think they got the firepower to be able to compete with the Cincinnati Bengals tonight, who are coming into this game pretty much on fire?
I think they do, but I mean, listen, I think that was probably the worst thing I could have ever thought.
Worst take of the year?
Yeah, worst take of the year. But I mean,
hey, I'm owning up to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jaguars have good young talent, and
yeah.
I thought Urban Meyer, a guy who's never had a losing season as a head coach, was going to come in and would work well with that young talent. A lot of times when coaches come from college, the trouble and the transition is with the older players, not necessarily the younger players. And with the Jaguars being so young of a team, I just thought it would work well. But they haven't been able to get it all together, and I mean, that offensive line for Jacksonville is so bad. And I think the Bengals defense has been a big surprise for the season. I wasn't one of these dudes who was, because that's Twitter. Twitter be slander, you know what I'm saying, on Jamar Chase. Because it's like, it was so easy to joke about, right? You know what I'm saying? But like, if you were to really have paid attention to the interview, you would realize he was literally just explaining the difference between the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like he was saying, I can't catch the NFL ball, but I can, and he's come out and he's balled out. And a lot of people were giving Cincinnati a lot of heat because they didn't draft Penny Sewell and they drafted Jamar Chase instead,
with the big injury last season.
But Burrow wanted his boy. And you can see like the connection is there, like, because they played high caliber football together before, and I think it's going to turn out to be a really smart pick down the road. I mean, it's already proven to be pretty smart so far this year. And Luke Wilson is a guy that I was talking about last night a little bit, because he's tied for the league lead in interceptions with 3 interceptions. He missed all of last year injured. He was a linebacker late draft pick by the Bengals in the draft last year, and so he's finally getting to play, and he's playing really good football. So, look, I want to pick the Jaguars eventually, but I can't. I just can't. I think the Bengals are going to end up winning this game. I think I'm looking for Jacksonville to continue to play a little bit better. They're finally starting to get the ball to James Robinson a little bit more. I mean, you utilize James Robinson to take a little bit of pressure off of Trevor Lawrence. Like that's what you need to do. You just talked about the type of game to play with a young quarterback. So I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think they're going to probably win this one by a final score of 27-17.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on this one. I'm taking the Bengals in this game, who seem to have an easier schedule, a bit of an easier schedule, at least these first 4 games. So it's important for them to get these W's out the way early. I don't think they'll be a playoff team, in the long run this season. But once they add some depth to that offensive line, I think they'll be a team that, to be reckoned with. I do like the pick with Jamar Chase as well, too. I think that's a fantastic pick to bring in, a guy like that already had the chemistry and they had that duo vibe already. Now you bring them into the league and you're going to build up their confidence together. I think it's an amazing thing. Jamar Chase, 3 straight weeks, he had a touchdown over 30 yards. The first 2 weeks was over 40 yards. He was on pace to break a record to be the first person to start 3 games and have a 40-yard receiving touchdown in each of those games. The third game, it was a 30-yard touchdown. So not that much of a difference. The boy's definitely balling.
He caught it on the fingertips too on this touchdown on this.
That's what you want to see out of Darius Slayton.
Catch.
It's the same kind of catch. If Jamar Chase drops that, they're looking at it like it's a drop. It's a hard catch to make, But in the NFL, you got to make those kind of catches, man. And I think the Bengals are going to be fine. Just got to keep Burrow upright for this year. Don't allow nothing crazy to happen to him, especially on that leg that already had the injury. And just tread water until you get into next season. And next season, I think they'll be able to really make a run after, drafting or bringing in some offensive line talent to take care of that. Somebody in the chat already says that DJ Chark was carted off the field, which is that's unfortunate. So Jaguars' chances looking like they're slimming even more with Chark out the lineup. That's probably like their number 1 guy as far as receivers go.
Yeah, Marvin Jones has been playing really well though for Jacksonville. Also,
Marvin Jones, man, he's a disappointment to me. whole career. Put up some decent numbers in Detroit, but just a disappointment for me, man. But we're not gonna hold y'all too much longer. We're at 8:41 now, man. We've been in here for about an hour and 40 minutes breaking down these matchups coming up. Week 4 in the NFL, man. It's been a good one. Salute to everybody in the chat for pulling up, man. We still got a good amount of people in here, and the game has already started. So that's what's up, man. We appreciate y'all hanging around, sticking around late with Awthentik and The Beard, man. We got Sunday morning. We're going to be doing the parlay at 11 a.m. And I just been looking for another day to just go live this week, man. I think this is a very important week for the New York Giants, so I might just end up going live on Friday or Saturday night or something, bring the Beard on, and just talk a little bit more about these two teams struggling in the NFC East, man, and just got to find a way, man. And I'm just sick of all the blaming. Forget all this blaming stuff. Get out there, start playing some good football, start surprising some people, put up some wins out there that, that they don't think we're going to win, man. And I think the Dallas Cowboys are doing that. They started that with the Chargers last week or 2 weeks ago, and convincingly winning the game against the Eagles, man. So Giants got to get into that class, man, put ourselves in the upper echelon vibes of the NFC East. It's wide open, man. Cowboys are right there front running, and Washington and the Eagles and the Giants are just way behind right now. It's time to catch up. So even though I picked the Cowboys to beat the Carolina Panthers, crossing them fingers, man, that the Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold could come out here. That's my boy. You my boy. Sam D's is what we call him. I need you to hang D's over them Cowboys on Sunday so my Giants could get back in the mix. And I know the Beard is looking for, Washington football team to go out there in Atlanta and catch themselves a W and get back to 2-2, man. But anything else before we get up out of here for the folks in the chat?
It's an important week for the NFC East as a division. I think we don't want to start falling into what we were last year as a division this early in the season. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, it's you want to see your team get a win. It's super important for us. Like if Dallas can lose and Washington can win, we're both sitting at 2-2. You know what I'm saying? And for the Giants and for the Eagles, they're in the same sort of situation. Like in order to keep pace, you got to win games, and Dallas got to lose games. So that's where we're at right now. Look, everybody wants to go live every day.
Hey, what was I telling you though, bro? Like if I could go live every day, I totally would, man. I mean, just the way that the monetization is set up. And the way this rent's set up, you gotta get out here and do something. I've been sitting here playing a lot of video games, man. Gotta make some beats, gotta bring in some clients, bring in some sessions, photography sessions. I'm doing it all over here, man, to keep this All Nut Studios popping in the middle of a pandemic. as we all would say. Nah, I'm slicing it. It ain't even that crazy. But, man, we appreciate y'all pulling up, man. It's been a really good show, man. Y'all enjoy this Thursday Night Football. I'm about to get these 3 screens on, man, and chop it up, see who's going live on YouTube, and, enjoy this game, man. So we'll catch y'all definitely on Sunday, but keep your eyes and your ears peeled.
Yeah.
We might go live on another day. We'll see how things are going, man. But it's been authentic. My man, The Beard, left side.
Strong side.
Catch y'all later, yo. Peace.